All right, we're welcoming everyone here for our third installment. But before we go in to a big, long episode and tell you guys what we're doing this week, if you haven't read the title already, Sisterly Frights took a little field trip, and Erinn and I went and saw The Conjuring Last Rites. Now, this is the last installment, obviously, for the Ed and Lorraine part of that universe.
Right.
So we did go to see it.
I guess all universes.
Yeah, all universes.
They're not alive either.
Right. However, I did have to do a little bribing for Erinn to go, but I did, in fact, state that it was for
science.
It was for science. So we went and saw it for science. Since Erinn has so many opinions about so many things.
About The Conjuring, especially.
I think we're going to let her talk about what she thought about The Conjuring.
This is a stinker. This movie stinks, dude. It sucks so bad. As I don't remember if we talked about it in the last episode or if we said it on TikTok, but I was very clear that I would not spend money to go and watch this movie, and somehow I ended up there on opening day, Becky. I for weeks have talked about how I was not going to go watch this, what I knew was going to be a terrible movie, and she's like, well, what if I buy it and the popcorn and the candy and a soda? And I'm easily bribed with popcorn, candies, and sodies. Jules said it best on TikTok: torture. That's what it felt like. 2 hours of just unimaginable torture for me personally. I know there are gonna be people out there that like it.
Let's talk about what we didn't like. Let's talk about why. Because I will say right now that I do agree with Erinn that that the movie's bad. So let's be more constructive though. Let's break it down a little bit. I will tell you right now that the movie itself, this is what I refer to, and Erin's heard me use this term many times. This is what I refer to as corporate horror. Mm-hmm. Corporate horror films are those films that the big, studios produce that have these huge budgets, and some are big successes and some are not. In this case, it's just a money grab at this point. Mm-hmm. I think when we're speaking to people like Ed and Lorraine Warren, I think that's, where part of my discord for all this comes in. I think Ed and Lorraine Warren I think they were a very polarizing duo. I think many people have a lot of love for them. I personally don't see that. I don't share that opinion. I think Ed and Lorraine Warren were sort of charlatans and not great people, and of course they had a pattern of exploiting these sort of working class people in situations where they were poor or couldn't move, and they were hyper religious and all the things. So I think my feelings about Ed and Lorraine Warren get in the way.
Yeah.
And also
the movie sucks.
The movie was just not good. So I did not like it because the jump scares were cheap. Mm-hmm. They were cheap, predictable, they were terrible. The movie, almost. Listen, I love a slow burn. I do like a slow burn, but at some point, I think Erinn looked over at me at some point and just was like, How long is this movie? Or like how much?
I was like, Becky, I don't think I can do this anymore. And she was like, well, It's been like an hour. There can't be much longer to this movie. And so I Googled the runtime, and I think I was radiating. I think I was like dripping sweat. I was so angry when I realized we still had an hour and 15 minutes to go, and we weren't even in the haunted house yet.
Yeah, they weren't even in the haunted. They weren't even where the action was.
No.
Yet.
Oh my God.
An hour in, nothing had really happened. Nothing substantial happened. There was still just a lot of back and forth about Ed and Lorraine and their daughter and yada, yada, yada. It just was... And then, of course, it's this love story, this farewell to Ed and Lorraine, which also made me kind of sick to my stomach.
Yeah. That's I'm in the same place with you, is having like knowledge about these people. It makes it really hard to watch them become these like almost like superheroes, right? Where they're coming in and they're saving the day against all evil and these demonic forces.
Is very interesting because there's so many stories now that have come out and so many like firsthand accounts of the Warrens just being truly terrible.
Yeah.
There's some documentaries. There's one documentary in particular I'd love to suggest, and that is My Amityville. Mm-hmm. And that's a documentary about the kids that grew up and the people that were surrounding the Lutzes during that time in the 70s and early 80s, when, of course, the Amityville Horror, that the very, very famous house on the East Coast that is haunted with those, of course, iconic windows and all that. You know, everybody
it's an Airbnb now, if anybody's interested.
Yeah. So, but that's what I'm saying. So the movie itself, the documentary itself is very informative. It's going to really give you another side of what was happening during those investigations, especially speaking to the Amityville Horror.
Yeah.
It's a very sad story, I think, about untreated mental health, about child abuse and things that were going on in that family. That was kind of sad. And to me, for Ed and Lorraine to come in, and I am positive that that coming into these homes where they were literally welcomed with open arms, they were able to see the vulnerability in these families.
And that gave them the cha-ching sound.
100%.
They turned into freaking Mr. Krabs with money signs for eyeballs.
Yeah, and so this love story to Ed and Lorraine, I just can't get behind. Now, that's not to say I don't like Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson, because I think those two actors are phenomenal. And I do believe, and I know they've spoken highly, at least of Lorraine, because I know she was, before she passed away, was a consult on, or offering her consult on the set during the time that when Vera Farmiga was playing her. And I'm sure, because Vera Farmiga seems like a very nice lady, was like, oh, here's this nice lady whose life I'm portraying.
Yeah.
Whose life I'm portraying, and Vera Farmiga has a job to do. I mean, I probably would approach it the same way. I've definitely been in that situation where I'm around polarizing celebrities that I have in my daily life. And sometimes, you know, you see a side to them that other people don't see that is endearing.
Yeah.
So I will give her that. However, I just think the film is terrible.
And Patrick Wilson's much too attractive to be.
And I think Vera Farmiga's hair is not nearly weird enough in this movie.
Ed is missing a couple of chins. Her hair is not fucking weird enough. You said we didn't talk about this last time, and we'll wrap up the Conjuring part of this. But what I do think about this movie is funny is the mold. This house is literally riddled with black mold.
It's literally the answer to everything.
Every question that is happening here.
Yeah.
If you guys have not seen the movie, or if you decide you want to waste 2 hours of your life and rewatch the movie, to look in the background while they're in that family's house. The walls are like duct taped together. They live behind some like oil refinery.
Oh, that's right.
Their house is riddled with mold, and they think it's ghosts.
You know what's the funniest part? If you guys ever want to know what it's like going to a movie with Erinn, every time, since she saw the first time, every time that black mold was shot in the background where someone was talking in front of it, or she just pointed to the screen, looked over at me, black mold! Just every single time.
They were so close to it. Every time you saw them in this house, they might as well have been licking the walls. They were so close to all of the mold in this house.
Well, listen, that's a plus for the props department, right? Because they really made you upset about the black mold in the house.
And you know what? I think they were trying to tell a story to those of us who know the real story and don't believe in demons, that it was in fact black mold. So.
There you go. Well, you heard it, ladies and gentlemen. The official review, I guess, of The Conjuring: Last Rites. I know it's controversial for some of you, but listen, we can't please everybody, I guess.
And neither can they.
And neither can The Conjuring. Yeah, that's for sure. With that said, I think we're going to move on from that. Now, if you've listened this far, if we haven't lost you because you hate us now because we don't like The Conjuring, what I can tell you is we are going to talk about our favorite franchises. Well, and listen, we can do a series of this where we're going to talk about different franchises at different times, and we'll bring up different ones. These are just the two that Erinn and I chose to start with. So if these are not franchises you like, or maybe if you have one that you'd like to hear us talk about or watch and review, put it in the comments either on our TikTok or on Spotify in our comments here on the podcast. So we'd love to hear from you and tell us your opinion. But today, Erinn is going to talk about
Paranormal Activity. I know I just shit on a franchise that everybody loves.
And then she dares come here with Paranormal Activity.
With one of the worst franchises also.
Well, at least you're starting with that,
right?
Yeah.
I feel like this is fair. You know what? I shit on everybody else's favorite movies. Y'all can come shit on me. And listen, it was hard for me to choose a franchise. I do not like franchises. I don't like repeating myself or listening to people repeat themselves, and sometimes with franchises it feels like that to me, where I'm like, I just don't care, you know. I saw the first one, I don't need to keep watching this character, for me personally. But I will say there are 7 movies in the Paranormal Activity franchise, and only 2 of them I like. So I will talk about those 2.
I don't understand.
I couldn't choose anything else that I will say I really like these 2 movies.
Okay.
So, you know, and then what are you doing?
All right. So I'm going to be talking about a franchise that literally only has 3 movies.
Right.
And that's going to be the X and Maxxxine trilogy. Mm-hmm. So it's X, Pearl, and Maxxxine, starring Mia Goth, who obviously had a very, very big influence and hand in the production part of the second 2, which would be Pearl and Maxxxine. Yeah. So I just rewatched this trilogy again, and I cannot wait to geek out for you guys on this one. I absolutely, if I could give, I'm not going to give it a 10 out of 10 because I think that's really, that's like 10 out of 10 for me would be like The Shining or The Exorcist, you know. But I am giving it I'm giving X a solid 9. Mm-hmm. I think I gave Maxxxine about an 8, 8.5, 8.5, and Pearl a solid 9 as well.
I agree with that.
So I will talk about that. But first, I think I'm very curious to hear what merits you find in Paranormal Activity. Please regale us.
Okay, I want to set the scene for the first movie. It's 2009. I am 9 years old. All right. Me and my current stepbrother at the time, I've had many, this is one of them, we rented Paranormal Activity and Twilight together, okay? So this was double feature, all right? Twilight and the first Paranormal Activity, okay? And I really look at that first movie with rose-colored glasses. I did not realize really at the time the TV could lie to me yet, you know? I didn't know that these people are going to lie to me and tell me that Katie's real and could come get me at any moment because we don't know where she is, you know, because she's missing in the first movie. That scared the shit out of me.
Sure.
Oh my God, she's out there, dude.
She's coming.
I went and told my dad, he said, you don't even know about Blair Witch, dude, you freaking idiot.
She's coming after you with her crate and barrel couch behind her. She's, you know,
saying names wrong in that weird tank top, even though it's freezing in Southern California.
Well, it was shot in San Diego, right?
Yeah, but remember they're like, it's so cold, and she's like in a tank top and shorts, and they're sleeping with one sheet.
Oh, yeah, the whole movie. Yeah. But like, how cold? I mean, I lived in San Diego. I'm from California, but like, it doesn't. I promise you,
a bitter 50
chilly.
Degrees.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'll talk about the first movie, and then. The other movie that I liked, I believe it's the 3rd or 4th. I should have fact-checked that. I can't remember now. But it is called The Marked Ones. That is another one that is so creative, and I'll tell you about that. But I do want to talk about the first one first, and the things that I like about it. You either love or you hate found footage. I think it's very rare to someone's like, it's fine, whatever. And normally I am not that big of a fan because I get sick and it can be kind of boring and whatever.
Like motion sick?
Yeah. And so this one, I really enjoy that it is almost a classic ghost story where you're in the house and things are just slowly getting worse and worse and the boyfriend's this idiot and everybody's making the worst decision. And unfortunately it does end up being demons, which is always
it's
so
always
annoying.
Demons.
Yeah, it's so annoying. Come on. It's never just like Casper or whatever. But there are some things in this movie that I think are really creative, even if they've been done before. When you're 9 years old, that's the scariest thing you've ever seen. The powder on the floor with the demon footsteps, the way that I think I talked about this in Weapons 2, calling it Blair Witching, when people are just standing there staring and not moving. That scene where she's just like staring at him next to the bed for, you know, an hour or two is just so unsettling. And of course, you know, the Ouija board was scary. And these are one of those movies where you're always trying to look for something in the background, you know, or you're listening so hard for the footsteps.
Sure.
It was crazy. And the budget for this movie was only $15,000, which
and we're so impressed by that.
Impressed by that.
That we can do. And it's the turnaround for movies like this, like Blair Witch and Paranormal Activity, and it is kind of lightning in a bottle when that happens. I think for these films, and I liked what you said about, you know, found footage is kind of one of those genres or subgenres, I suppose, that's like, you know, you either love it or you hate it. I think there's real value in really well done found footage. I think that. And I think it either works or it doesn't, right? So we see a lot of films where it's super effective, and other films where it's just so bad that it is. It's.
I would categorize the other 5 Paranormal Activities as really bad found footage. Sure.
But nothing's worse. We're going to talk about the worst found footage movie, and that would be a movie called Bad Ben.
Oh, you've told me.
Yeah. So if you guys are not familiar, if you listen right now, if you have heard of Bad Ben, you better comment in those comments. I want to know you. You are my best friend now because Bad Ben is fucking amazing. Bad Ben is basically a parody on all found footage. I would say speaking directly to Paranormal Activity. And it's just like an old dude in a house. And he just has like rigged cameras, all like, you know, baby cams or, you know, babysitter cams or whatever. Yeah, ring cam. Just like around his house. And he's just walking around going, like he's just, it's so fucking funny. Yeah. And we are going to actually, at some point before, during the Halloween season, I think we might start having watch parties. Because I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Because I've never seen it.
We gotta do a Bad Ben. Maybe we'll do that. Listen, right now, just real quick, I have to stop what we're doing, and I have to say this. We have 300 followers.
Yes,
that
we
is
do.
300 followers. The last time we recorded an episode, guys, we were only at 200. We are now at 300. That's if we put 300 people right now in front of us that decided that they're interested in what we're doing. That's really a huge amount of people. I'd be really scared. But listen, I would love to start interacting with you guys as you come into our Sisterly Frights community. And one of the ways we can do that is do lives. Yeah. We are now able to do lives. So if we get to 500 followers, you guys, 500 followers, we will have our first live.
We'll watch Bad Ben or something.
And we'll watch Bad Ben, okay? So please keep following us. So anyway, Bad Ben, hilarious found footage, very funny parody. And there's several installments. Of course there is. There are several. It's so great. I can't wait for Erinn to hate this. But yeah, we'll do that. But there is value to good found footage. Yeah, absolutely. You know, an example of that for me, and I don't know if you guys feel about the same way about this film, but it's something called The Taking of Deborah Logan.
Oh, yes.
I think it's very underrated. I think some of the acting from the younger cheesy people in the movie aren't fantastic. It's not fantastic. Yeah. But that movie is, I think, an incredibly effective found footage film.
Yeah, that one. You are tired of hearing me talk about this one, but Incantation.
Right.
Whatever they say.
We're gonna have to talk about that.
That's one of my favorite found footage movies. But anyways, we'll get back to the only other good Paranormal Activity movie, and that is The Marked Ones. This is another one that I chatted Becky's ear off about because I was like, please, I know Paranormal Activity sucks real bad, but you have to watch this one because if it was not a Paranormal Activity movie, one, I think it would have performed better, in the box office better. I think more people would have watched it if it was not attached to this ridiculous universe with a demon named Toby.
Does he wear stripy pajamas?
We never see him.
If you get that reference, I also want you to comment in the comments.
But the Marked Ones, it is so different from the other movies in terms of cast, right? Where we're stuck with these rich white people and beautiful San Diego and some gorgeous 2-story house. The guy's a fucking day trader or whatever. They don't really have real jobs. Whatever.
Super douche canoe.
He sucks. He's the affliction guy to the T.
Oh my gosh! And that's the thing I think for me about Paranormal Activity. It's not so much that it doesn't have effective scares, because I think it does.
Yeah, sure.
And I think that the movie overall is and has potential to be very frightening, especially for a younger audience. Like you mentioned, it's part of your childhood, and we all, that's the value. Maybe that's the beauty of Erinn and I having such a huge age gap too, because we're approaching these movies and these genres in such a different way
and different points of life.
Different points of our lives. Yeah. So, but yeah, I think all of that I agree with you, but it's
he
just
sucks
the both of them are just
See,
awful.
but I kind
They're
of
just
enjoy that
terrible
because you're just
characters.
waiting for them to. All right, come on, let's start killing each other.
Okay,
Let's start dying here,
I was
guys.
so excited when they finally started killing each other. I was really
Oh,
happy.
finally,
Yeah.
because she whines and he's just a dick.
He's just a douche canoe. Yeah, absolutely terrible.
He wants to amp it up the whole time, even though she's like begging him not to,
Right.
Yeah. Which, and this is something that I always think about, and I probably could have read into like all of the lore of Paranormal Activity, but something that I always think about when I watched that first movie is how much did Katie actually know, right?
Oh, right.
Was she not being as stern as she could be because she knew this was going to happen? She was a part of this coven of witches who needed baby boys or whatever it is, who needed this kid, whatever,
Right.
How much did she actually know? And I will tell you what, I'm not going to go rewatch all the movies to find out because they suck really bad.
So I will tell you, I have a confession. I've watched every single Paranormal Activity.
I have too, I just won't rewatch them.
I have a tradition every year where I will pick a franchise and I will watch usually around Halloween, obviously, and I will watch every single installment of that franchise, even including if it has like a spin-off or a TV series.
Yeah.
Like I did Evil Dead,
Right.
and I watched all the, Ash vs. Evil Dead and everything, all that, which I could do
Anyway,
anytime. But anyway, so I did 1 year pick, and it can even be a franchise I don't like.
Yeah, just do it.
In this case, it was
Yeah.
Paranormal Activity. I said I'm going to give it a fighting chance. I'm going to watch it from beginning to end, and I did, and
It sucks.
it's real bad.
It's another stinker.
It's real bad, guys.
But with the marked ones, again, you're not in, like I said, these like upper white class houses. You're in an apartment, which I love. I can't think of any other movie, like, aside of that one movie that's named, like, Apartment 140 whatever. I can't think of any other movies that are in these, like, rundown apartments, right? Because how annoying would it be to be, like, a downstairs neighbor with a haunted apartment above you? Oh, dude, that would suck so bad.
Yeah.
Not only do you got kids running around, you got ghosts and people are getting possessed and whatever. But yeah, if this movie was not attached to Paranormal Activity, it would be such a fun ride. I'll talk about a couple of my favorite scenes from this one. Simon, dude, that's so
chased
good.
me around with that for a while too.
I did.
Yeah, she did.
If you haven't seen the movie, the kids, the main one, it's called the marked ones because the main character, this kid, is one of the kids who's destined to be like possessed and kidnapped by this cult or coven of witches or whatever the hell the story is. But they're all sitting around his dinner table and they're playing Simon because it's an outdated game. And these
hold
kids...
on. Tell the people what Simon is. Just in case. There's a lot of people your age that have never played with Simon.
Yeah, sorry. Simon is a very old...
Careful.
Yeah.
Careful, young lady.
It is a circle board with 4 colored lights on it, and it lights up in a pattern, and you have to match the pattern, and it gets more complex until you mess up and have to start over,
right.
Okay? So it's like red, yellow, blue, green. So they're sitting around playing it, and when the main kid, it's his turn to play it, it doesn't work. He's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And so he asks a question, and it lights up green. Me, whatever. And they're like, oh, that's funny. And then he goes to try and play it again, and it doesn't work. So they ask it another question. Mm-hmm. So they're sitting around the table asking it questions, and of course they finally ask it something that there's like a no to.
And it's responding.
And it finally hits that red. It's all, for so long. It's so unsettling. But there is a deleted scene that I didn't know was deleted because whatever DVD we had of it, it was included in that. We had maybe like an editor's cut or a director's cut or whatever. But it's sitting in the kitchen. It's on YouTube. You guys can go watch it. It's like sitting in the kitchen talking to itself. And then, of course, like the Hispanic grandma comes in and is like, no, you cannot play with that. This is not right.
Listen to her.
Yeah, listen to her, dude. She's telling you something.
Yeah,
and then and she does die. Rip. But yeah, so I love that. I like when we start bringing guns and ghosts together.
Well, the movie itself takes place in East Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And, this is a very, I would say a family at poverty line. Now, I grew up in LA and these areas were rough, and they were low income, but they're living in a small, one of those like little small mid-century modern
like
apartment
complexes.
Little tiny apartment.
It's got
complex.
this really cute like atrium where everybody like walks through.
Well, it's really cool. All those old apartment complexes. A lot of them are still there. I'm from West Hollywood.
Yeah.
And so in that area, like West LA or the West Hollywood area, there's a lot of those like mid-century modern buildings, and they're really cool. Someday I'll take you there.
Yeah.
But parts of that area are very cool. But those little apartment complex, like I always grew up going to them because my mom always had friends that lived in places like that, and they were awesome. And my grandfather lived in a little like duplex. It was probably built in the 1920s, actually, maybe 1930s, and it was beautiful. But there's a lot of those old apartment complexes in those parts of Los Angeles which are untouched. They're like little time capsules. So to see that for me was kind of cool. Like I could almost smell there's like this communal smell because somebody's always cooking something amazing, and like there's always the smell of like somebody's grandma cooking of life and there's
life
always
and love,
and there's very little space usually for like the kids to play, but they're always still playing, and there is joy in those places. And I think that and I did like this movie.
She did finally watch it.
I did finally I rewatched it because I had not watched it in so long I forgot it. It was, but I did enjoy it. I actually liked it. I think that the director was very successful in capturing that feeling that I just described. You know,
because you actually care about these people, you know, versus these other movies, you just can't wait for these fuckers to die.
Right.
You know, they're so privileged and they're so dumb, and they make just the dumbest decisions, and it's opening the door when there's a knock at the door, and why would you open it when you're 13 years old or whatever? And in these movies, you feel more connected.
Characters are endearing. You know, they're teenage boys. They're
trying to stay out of gang life.
And also that shows that there's good in these communities too. You know, and so, but where there's good,
there's demons.
There is evil.
Apparently there's demons and white witches.
Well, there you go.
The white devil.
That's right. Well, there's that too. But, you know, I do believe that the movie was successful in capturing that culture. I did feel like the kids did well, and I think the scares were good. I do think that this would be a great, like, if you guys are looking for a horror movie for your kids to cut their teeth on, like this would be so cute at like a 13-year-old sleepover party. I think it's a cute horror. It's a good horror movie. I think it's just pretty basic.
So, and some of the stuff is very disturbing. Like I think if I had seen this again when I was like much younger, by the time this movie came out, I had already seen too much stuff. It didn't matter anymore, you know. But I think if I had seen this as like a normal, non-horror loving child, it would have been really scary. You know, there's that scene where he's got like the dog pressed up against the ceiling.
Oh yeah, that was kind of sad.
I know, it's sad. You know, that sucks. Or and I like that this. It felt very, again, real, that this kid thought like he was special, and that almost in a Chronicle, if you've ever seen Chronicle, where he thinks that he has some kind of superpower now, right? He's like almost invincible, and they immediately want to like upload it and post it to YouTube for views and whatever, you know. And that's, I always really dislike when horror movies try and add like modern technologies to these movies, and it seems so cheesy. It feels so forced. But even in this movie, like when they're like, oh dude, we've got like 500 views on YouTube, this is awesome, you know, like it's so little, but it feels so real.
It's organic.
Yeah, it's very organic in the way that these kids interact with him now having these like abilities that he doesn't know are demonic, but also everybody around him is very weary of that, except for him. You know, he feels on top of the world, but even his friends are like, I don't know about this, you know. Definitely not Grandma. Grandma was not having it, for sure.
She knows. You have to listen to the grandma always. Yep, for sure.
But yeah, that's the two movies of my franchise that I enjoyed.
That's the only two she's gonna talk about, you guys.
I can't. I mean, I can tell you how. If I were to take the time to tell you how much I disliked all of these movies, that would be an entire podcast, 2 hours worth of content. I will say, don't even bother with that last one.
Maybe in the future we'll have like a Patreon situation where you guys can pay extra just to hear her hate on things for like an hour at a time.
I will do it on camera for you guys so you can see how red and angry I get when I watch these just abominations. This is what makes me angry, and we have talked about this many times, where once
and
movies...
here's a sample of it now.
Yeah, once movies get into, like, these crazy budgets, they just get worse and worse and worse. We're talking the first movie, $15,000 for the budget. The second movie, $3 million. Tell you what, that's why it sucks. All of the, like, humility of the first one is almost gone, because now it's this, like, high budget, again, franchise, where they realize, they realize that we have a little niche here, like you said, lightning in a bottle. How much can we open that bottle until there's no more lightning left in it? And they did that with this.
That's very deep.
I know.
That was a lot.
Thank you.
Very good.
But they did that. They did do that here. They opened the bottle, and there is nothing left in there.
It's a cash grab.
Yeah, cash grab, absolutely.
It's a cash grab.
And I'm not saying that there aren't things about these other movies. There aren't scares, and there are good scares in some of these movies. Sure, I think it's the third one where we go back in time to Katie being a child.
See, that's too many things.
I know, but there's this one scene where the guy, like, sets up a camera on a rotating fan. Right, so it's going back and forth, and then it's like the kid dressed up as a sheet ghost, and then it disappears. Yeah. That's really fun. Did I need a 2-hour movie to see that? No,
well,
especially when the rest of the movie.
Scene, though,
they sure could. I know TikTok wasn't around then. Put that shit on TikTok. Let me scroll past it. We just
have that. Well, actually, that's actually a good point.
I know.
'Cause that's pretty much what we're doing now. And there are some actually really cool. We're gonna have to go through one episode and talk about a bunch of horror TikToks and stuff, because there's some really good stuff out there right now, and YouTube on YouTube as well.
Anyways, I'll stop bitching if you want to talk about your 3 really good movies that I do actually really like. I don't have anything negative to say about these movies, so
that's a miracle.
I know.
It's a miracle.
It is.
We're gonna write to Mia Goth.
Yeah,
We're gonna hand her a certificate of
the stamp of approval from Erinn.
That's right. So I'm gonna talk about X and Pearl and Maxxxine. I'm gonna go not in order of release. Oh, I guess I'm going in order of release, because I guess X and Pearl were both released in 2022, and then two years later in 2024, of course, we did get Maxxxine, which was just last year. So I'm gonna talk about X first. I'm gonna talk about all of them. Let's just talk about. I'm gonna make some general observations here. First of all, of course, Mia Goth, the actress, producer, and co-writer of 2 of the 3 films. Of course, she stars in all 3. She did executive produce Pearl, as well as co-wrote Pearl, and same with Maxxxine, with Ti West, who's the director. Obviously, they are an incredible duo. Yeah. They make really good art and really good movies. And let's talk about why. X is the first installment of the 3, and it is basically following 2 women, would be Pearl and Maxxxine. We meet both of them in X. However, Maxxxine, and it's modern times. It would be present day for them, which would be around the 70s, early 80s. And Maxxxine is with her friends, or if you will, friends, but they are making adult co-workers, friends, boyfriend. One guy is her boyfriend. Yeah. They are making adult films. They're making porn. And they're in Texas, and they find a little barn house to rent out in the middle of nowhere, so they can not be bothered and make their dirty movie, if you will. And of course, we see a very young Jenna Ortega in this movie. Yeah, who was only 19 years old when this was filmed.
Crazy.
Yeah. So they go out to to this barn area, and by the way, there will be spoilers for all 3 movies and all of this. So if you got this far, just so you know, if you haven't seen X, Pearl, and Maxxxine, you might want to stop right now and go watch and come back and listen to the rest of our podcast. So they go to the barn area, and you meet now the old man who owns the property. And he just tells them to keep to themselves and not bother his wife, essentially. We find out later that his wife, the old lady who is married to the old man, is Pearl, also played by Mia Goth. Very, very old lady, and she's real creepy and does some real creepy fucking shit. Yeah. She fucks some people up, and it's awesome. So anyway, that's Pearl. That's who we see Pearl. The second film, Pearl itself, is a prequel to X, where we get to see the origin story of Pearl herself, and of course played by Mia Goth, beautifully.
Yeah.
We'll like I said, we're gonna break each movie down, but my God, that movie it's a period piece. It's actually set in 1919, World War One. She is Pearl. Her husband, who actually has gone to war, leaves her to live with her very domineering German mother and her disabled father, who contracted the Spanish flu and is now completely disabled from the damage it had done to his body. So she has to help take care of her father, her infirmed father, as she puts it. And so she's a very whimsical child, is what we think. And in fact, child, I say, but we learn that later she's married, and she is not a child. She's actually a full-grown woman, and she has very childlike behaviors. And we'll go over that too. Obviously, something very much going on with Pearl that we find out is, well, she's a psychopath.
Yes, a murderer.
She's a murderer. And the third film is actually about Maxxxine, who is the young girl that is faced with the old lady Pearl in the first movie, X. And Maxxxine is what happens after all the things that do ensue with the porn people on the farm. And Maxxxine goes on to live her life. Okay. X. We're going to start with this one. So this is, I can tell you, as a product of the 70s, I grew up in the late 70s, early 80s, and the 90s, obviously. And I watch modern films sometimes try to capture that decade or that feeling that you had in the 70s and 80s. And if you're Gen X, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. And what I can tell you is that I've been very disappointed, and one of the films that I will mention...
I know, I already know. I was going to bring this up if you didn't.
One of the movies I mentioned, or that I'm going to mention, and that I'm referring to, is called Late Night with the Devil.
Boo.
And I'm sorry, I know that that's another film that a lot of people love, but I really feel like that film just failed capturing that 70s vibe. But X was perfect at capturing it. It's got that dusty, grainy, almost Texas Chainsaw feel. It is just perfect. I can almost smell the BO on everybody, and like, you know what I mean?
The cigarettes.
And the cigarettes. Yeah. It's just fantastic, and I just really loved the vibe of this film. The cinematography was beautiful. There's just all these quick edits and cuts in the film that are so effective that I was geeking out so hard over. One in particular I'm going to talk about, and there is this one edit where you are seeing a light bulb hanging from the ceiling, and it's kind of swaying, and I think it's Jenna Ortega's hand reaching up to turn the light off or turn it on or whatever. But anyway, it's this, and then all of a sudden it has this quick cut to the old lady stabbing this guy in the eyeballs through holes, not holes, in the wood in the barn wall. And it's a jump scare. But what's crazy about it is nothing's actually jumping out at you. It's the edit itself that's the jump scare. And I can't tell you, I think I screamed and hollered like I was watching like a sports team. I don't know if you heard me. I was like, hell yeah! Like, it was just so impressive to me, and it got me. I mean, I got genuinely scared, and I was like, I can't fucking believe
it's so
that.
exciting when that happens.
Oh my God, it was so good.
Because as horror lovers, you know when things are coming sometimes, you know? So when something really surprises you, it is so exciting. I'm not scared as much as I am just, oh my God, that was fucking awesome!
Yeah, it was just such a cool moment. I literally, like, my boyfriend came in and he's like, what are you so excited about? I'm like, you don't understand. You don't understand. This was like the big, and he was like, I have to see this now. So I rewound it, and I was like, look at it. And he was like, I mean, but he did agree that it was impressive. It really just is so cool. And it's just, there's just things like that in the film, subtleties, the feel of the film, but also, let's just talk about Mia Goth for a second. My fucking God, she is a powerhouse on screen.
She's so beautiful.
And she's beautiful physically, but just her acting, and you know, I've seen the interviews now and of her and how she speaks, and obviously she's from England, and you would never know. You would never know. I mean, she's obviously Southern, kind of that Texas. I'm not even going to try because
it'll hurt my feelings.
It'll hurt Erinn. Erinn is actually from Texas, so I'm not going to even try to do that. I almost did, but I didn't want to get myself in trouble. And
you can do it, dude. I'll just make fun of you.
But anyway, she's got this like great Southern accent, and she's so convincing.
Yeah, she is.
And the absolutely, in any scene she's in, I don't even know who's in the scene with her.
Right, because
she steals every scene. Yeah. Every scene she steals.
Yeah.
I just think it's interesting. Another honorable mention that I do want to talk about is actress Brittany Snow.
Is that the blonde friend?
Yeah,
I loved her.
She's so good. Now, Brittany Snow, I mean, she was in Pitch Perfect, those little like bubblegum movies and stuff. But she's also in the remake of Prom Night 2008, which I'd like to go back and watch.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in a long time.
But she was also phenomenal in this film.
Yeah, she was.
And she plays kind of ditzy,
she's your classic porn star.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I do porn and blah, blah, blah.
But you know what's most interesting about these characters? I think they're more complex than most, like, disposable slasher characters.
Absolutely.
Obviously, this is more of a slasher film.
Yeah.
And when we're speaking to slasher films like Friday the 13th or, Halloween, we just love it. But most of the characters are dumb because they're disposable. They're just there to be a body. They're just there to add to the body count. So we don't really care if they get killed. In fact, we kind of root for the villain, or the monster or whatever to kill these people off. But in this movie, which I found so different, was that all the porn people were kind of nice guys. They were like nice people. You know what I mean?
There was nothing inherently wrong with them. One of them's like an ex-soldier, and like, they're all just trying to get by. They just want to do what they love.
Right. And what's sad is the downfall is them like trying to help this couple, this old elderly couple. Like each one of them come out of the house in the middle of the night, right, to go out and help them all. They don't realize that, by the way, Pearl is this homicidal, murderous, rapey old lady.
Old hag.
She's so nasty.
She's so nasty to look
who
at.
really just wants to like. I mean, but part of this, the way that they played it, was that she just wants to be loved, right?
Yeah.
It isn't really until we start watching Pearl that we understand that she is a complete wackadoo.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we know she's homicidal, but there is part of you that watches X and you're like, is she homicidal because she's got dementia?
Right.
Like, does she actually know what she's doing?
Right.
Is she having these sort of sexual urges for these strangers because she's she's losing her mind? She has Alzheimer's, and that kind of in of itself makes her even a scarier monster, right? And again, like Taking of Deborah Logan, which is literally a horror film that is framing dementia and Alzheimer's disease and what it does to people, and and then even bringing the little girl with cancer into it. That's what I'm saying. It's these references to diseases that are can be terrifying in of themselves monsters. So that's what we don't know about Pearl yet. Is she riddled with dementia that it's going to make her do these terrible things?
Yeah, you don't know what's pushing her to do this.
Right.
And that's scary. The unknown is always not always, but a lot of the time scarier than what you do know.
Sure.
And so you just have this like weird, creepy ass old lady who's doing all these very horrible things to these people, and you just, as a viewer, you have no idea why yet. That's so scary.
And also we get to ask ourselves, why is the husband doing all this? And then we find that he's like enabling her in all of this. He's bringing her to
these people.
He's bringing her these people, and of course, so there's all these kills. I'm gonna make this real quick because I have two more movies to talk about. But we see all these kills. Everybody dies except for Maxxxine, obviously. Maxxxine gets away and also kills Pearl.
Yeah.
At the end.
She run over her?
Yeah, she runs over her head with the van. But it's just so it's just an interesting film. But it's played so beautifully. I would say Mia Goth in her makeup as the old lady, as Pearl, is unrecognizable. But what I was saying about the husband, we don't really know why. I mean, obviously he loves her, and there's this thing, and then there's this very grotesque elder on elder scene.
Yeah.
And I hate to be like mean or anything, because
like nobody wants to see that.
But that's and that's also strange because there's you almost feel bad that you're repulsed by it.
Yeah, because
you
you're
know
like,
what
it's
I mean?
life, and I'm going to be that ugly sack of
and
skin
should
at
I
some
be disgusted
point?
by these two elderly people having sex, I guess, because they are in love and all this, but then you flip-flop back and forth because you're like, she just fucking like gutted, like beheaded a guy outside with like a kitchen knife.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just like there's so many mixed emotions in this film, and that makes it all the more disturbing because you have this sympathy for them mixed in with the absolute like disgust of it all, but also genuine fear of these people. Like, these people would exist. I would be very afraid of them.
Yeah.
And so that's all very interesting to me. And then, of course, the second film would be Pearl. Pearl is the prequel where we get to see what Pearl was like growing up. And again, I already spoke kind of about it before. That
German
it's
mother.
1919 World War One. A family that's living in poverty, which many families did back then. They lost a lot, and then of course fighting this epidemic, which would have at that time been the Spanish flu, which left Dad
paralyzed,
just disabled for the rest of his life. So Pearl is forced to do a lot of stuff by her mother. Her mother is this domineering German woman, and Pearl is sort of this like, free-thinking, sort of wistful, whimsical, like has a big imagination. And you're thinking, wow, this mother is so mean. And then you realize as that goes on that Pearl is not
she's not 16 years old.
She's not a little girl.
Yeah.
This is a married woman. I'm assuming, obviously, they did marry women out very young at that time. But it becomes very apparent that she's a lot older than than she is presenting. Yeah. Especially when she starts to interact with the projectionist.
Yeah. Love him.
Yeah.
He's very pretty.
Yeah, he's a pretty guy. Whoever you are.
I love you, sir.
Yeah, he's a very nice looking man. I did not look him up because I really wanted this to be more about
cheeks.
Huh?
We'll just call him Hot Cheeks.
You can call him Hot Cheeks.
Hey.
There you go.
That's
There's
the
siren call of Erinn.
And he's nice. He gives her like a little clipping of a movie.
Well, that's what we find out. So Pearl, she sneaks off to, like, her mom will send her with some money to go get over-the-counter morphine.
Hell yeah.
Says the straight edge girl.
I know. Yeah.
But yeah, so she'd go into town because they live kind of, very rural area on a farm out in the middle of nowhere, on the same farm that we see in X, obviously. Anyway, so Pearl will ride her bike into town, and with some money in her pocket, she goes to buy the morphine for her father, and then she sneaks off with the last couple of pennies, and she goes to the pictures, and she watches The Follies, and we're watching girls dancing on the screen, and she has this fantasy that she's going to join the Follies, and she's going to run off and be a dancer and be rich and famous, and everyone's going to love her. And she has these constant fantasies. Now, what I love about this film is the feel, again, very good at capturing that vintage feel. If this movie, if it wasn't obviously for the content of the film and all, and the nature of the film, this movie, if you close your eyes and just listen to the soundtrack, the sound design, and the score, you would say that this is either an epic film with a fantastic orchestral soundtrack and score and that kind of huge budget, or you're watching a movie from the 1940s. They were very, very good at capturing, again, the mood. Ty West did a beautiful job of doing that, and very effective with the font, with the credit scene and all that stuff. It's just beautifully shot. But anyway, so I just wanted to say that because it's such a big part of the film, I think, too, is the sound design and the score. Yeah. So we see Pearl at the movie theater, and she's watching all that. She gets on her bike. She goes back home. She has to stop to have sex with the scarecrow first. But she meets the projectionist before she goes home, kind of in a back alley, and he's there. He hands her a cigarette and like flirts with her and stuff, and she's very enticed. But she's like, and she does say, "I'm married."
I'm married.
Yeah,
I'm
and
married.
She tells the scarecrow that she's married. Yeah. She tells the Scarecrow very aggressively that she is married, and then she proceeds to dry hump him and steal his top hat. Yeah. That poor Scarecrow.
I know, what the hell?
I don't know. Non-consensual Scarecrow fondling.
I guess so.
Anyway, yeah, so she goes home, and her mom's pissed that she has a hat and that she's been gone so long. Where
the hell did you get that hat?
What's that hat? You know, she's convinced it has Spanish flu all over it. Anyway, so as it progresses, and I just don't, want to just talk about the plot. It's just, as it progresses, it gets more tense with Mom and things of that nature. Eventually, Mom dies because she's set on fire. Mm-hmm. But, it's because they're fighting back and forth when Pearl decides that she's going to go audition for this dancing troupe with her cousin or whoever that is. Or sister-in-law.
Sister-in-law. But also, she very much reminds me of the porn star friend from the first movie, where you have this kind of like almost ditzy, very outgoing, everybody loves her, everybody thinks she's beautiful. You kind of see that dynamic also in this movie with the sister-in-law.
Yes, right.
And obviously she wins the dance competition.
But she doesn't.
Right.
That's the sad part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in her mind, she has won this dance competition or whatever.
That's right.
Because, Pearl thinks she's beautiful and everybody loves her and she's popular and whatever. But yeah, I like that we kind of see that same dynamic in this movie. It feels very cohesive.
Right. But we find out, as we go through, how much pain that Pearl really is in, because she's, in every scene that she's acting nice or polite or any of that, it's excruciating, because we know that later on that she's a psychopath.
Yeah.
Which she's so beautifully, Mia Goth delivers one of the longest dialogue scenes I've ever seen. I believe it's all one take, and it is absolutely impressive. What I will say is that it's intense.
Yeah.
And this, I almost felt like she was showboating how good of an actress she was.
Yeah. Just to
say that I can do this dialogue in one take for 10 minutes, however long that monologue is that she does. It is intense, and she's pretending, she's role playing that she's speaking to her husband who's at war, but she's really speaking to her sister-in-law, and she begins to sort of confess all these terrible things that she's done, and the sister-in-law is just sitting there listening and absorbing it, and it's and we don't, and the beautiful part of it too is we don't even see the other actress's response. We don't see
nothing.
We're looking at Pearl at sort of an angle, almost like the point of view of the girl, kind of off to the side a little bit, but purposely they are not showing the other actresses or that other character's reaction to what Pearl is unloading. Yeah. Right? We're just seeing Mia Goth in this one long shot of this amazing monologue that just goes on and on forever, and she's sort of weeping and speaking through these gurgling emotions. It's just unbelievable, and it is very impressive to watch, and it just kind of blew my mind. And it's not until this super long monologue is over that they pan over to finally see the reaction of the other character, and she doesn't even know what you just see her she's paralyzed.
I gotta go home now.
It's just I was geeking out so hard over Mia Goth's portrayal, but then again we see that same level and that same intensity of acting in Maxxxine when she's actually at that audition and she shows them
that she can do this.
That she can do it, and then they're like, here's the notes, and she's like, I know my lines, I got it, and then she just turns it on. And we see that same intensity with that monologue, and there's no accident there that we're seeing parallels. Of course, there's parallels of Pearl and Maxxxine. They have the same lines, like, I'm special, I'm a star, people are going to know my name, that parallel is in both of those characters, and they're throughout all three films, so there's that theme. I just thought it was brilliant, and the real true terror is just Pearl herself. But then we see that fierceness in Maxxxine as well, but obviously we see it in a way that we feel that she's actually using it kind of for good, right? And I'm talking about when, of course, there's that brutal scene in Maxxxine where she's walking alone through an alley, and this guy's basically gonna come after her to sexually assault her in an alley, and then she turns
stomps on it.
Yeah, she turns it around. She puts him, she has a gun to his knife. You know what I mean? And then she does indeed make him blow her gun.
Yes.
Blow the gun, and then she proceeds to have him drop trowel and obliterates his testicles on the pavement. And let me tell you something, they did not even try
to hide that.
There's nothing left to the imagination.
They said, here you go.
It is bam, those balls are out.
Gone.
Like it is roadkill.
Yeah.
So it is just brutal, but it's also awesome.
Love it.
So yeah, I love that film. And Maxxxine is also incredible. Now like I said, grew up in West Hollywood and the Hollywood area in the 80s. And so watching this film, I was also geeking out because I was like, oh yeah, that was my neighborhood. I used to go there and they were so good. And a lot of it was also filmed on the Universal lot, which they talk about.
Yeah.
In fact, she's talking about being on the Universal lot. Now, an interesting thing about my life growing up is my father was in radio, and he was pretty famous for his time in Los Angeles at the time that he was active.
Yeah.
And one of his best friends was a man named Victor French. A lot of you guys probably won't know who he is, but many of you can... Well, any of you can Google it, but many of you maybe that are my age, like Gen Xers, would know who he is. He was on a little show called Little House on the Prairie, and he was also on a show called Highway to Heaven with Michael Landon. He was the guy with the beard, salt and pepper. He was also in, he played the dad in Officer and Gentleman with Richard Gere and Deborah Winger. Now, my dad and Victor was pretty much like my uncle.
Yeah.
And he lived in this really beautiful house in the Hollywood Hills, overlooking the back part of Universal Studios. So he had this beautiful black bottom pool out there. And anyway, I would go out in the backyard and I would watch the Miami Vice show from Victor's backyard.
That's so cool.
And it was such a cool thing to be able to do. And that movie itself, really just her walking around LA and Universal Studios, it just brought a lot of those great memories back to me. So I really enjoyed watching that, and I think again Ti West was very successful in capturing that 80s Hollywood vibe.
They captured the vibe in every single one of these movies, and that I'm a big vibes guy.
You are.
I like the vibes. I especially love a vintage vibe.
Right.
Not so much 80s as I much like as I enjoy the 70s and whatever. Especially in horror, maybe because it's like the golden era of horror, when you see these movies kind of go back to that time period, that era, when it's done wrong, it just sucks so bad. And so when these movies do it right, it's like a reward. I feel like I'm being given a treat, like it's a little treat,
Yeah.
when it's done correctly. And
I think that's very accurate.
I love when they just take the time for the little things like that. Because again, you brought up Late Night with the Devil. That movie fell so flat. It felt like Pinterest. You got on Pinterest,
really
you Googled 70s aesthetic, and it's nothing but 90s. It's not even 70s stuff,
You know what? I play The Sims.
Okay, tell us about your Sims, Becky.
Let me tell you something. I kind of feel like if you got like a 70s pack from The Sims.
That's what it would look like.
And you built a little set, that's what it looks.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it looks like to me.
And they did not do this here.
It just wasn't
They did not
interesting.
buy the Sims pack.
No,
they
they did not.
They bought a time machine. They went back. They filmed this movie. They're actually in the 70s.
Yeah, but Mia Goth is, like I said, she's such a powerhouse, and playing Maxxxine as well, she's fantastic and phenomenal in that. I just love all three of these films.
Me too.
I think at the end of the day, I could rave about this all the time. I wish Mia Goth. Listen, honey, you got to get better taste in men, though.
Yeah,
we gotta,
what the heck,
I don't know
dude.
what all that's about. But regardless, whatever you're doing on the screen, please keep doing it because it is beautiful. She does beautiful work, and I will go see her do anything. Actually, if you guys are Star Wars fans at all, for my Star Wars fans out there, she is coming up, and she will be playing in the new Star Wars film, and I'm excited to see her because I guess she's playing a bad guy.
Oh.
I know. I'm very, very excited to see. Maybe she could play that British esoteric, in the Empire villain, but I don't know. So that'll be exciting to see. I'm excited to see her future projects, and I'm excited to see Ti West's projects because I think that he's got some directing chops, and I'm excited to see what he comes up with next. Also, All right, guys. Well, we're going to wrap that up. I do like franchises. I know Erinn doesn't. I do. I'm a character person. I do love characters, but I think that was probably more common growing up in the 80s where we had these really strong franchises.
Jason,
Freddy
Michael.
and Jason and Michael Myers and even Reagan from The Exorcist.
Right.
So we just, for me, I think it is a character thing for me. And now we've got, Art the Clown, and we've got all these great horror icons, whether you like them or not. I think there's something for everybody in franchises. Yeah. But I do love a good character. I love a good monster, and if I like the monster, if I like the character, I'll keep watching it.
Yeah.
So with that said, guys, that's pretty much it. What we are going to be doing in the future. Well, we got some things planned in the future. Hopefully we'll be able to take us on the road. I do have some really fun guests lined up to come up pretty soon. I'm very lucky to have been active in the haunt community here in Las Vegas for quite a few years, and because of that, thankfully I was able to get some connections, and we're going to bring some really interesting people on the show. And where will we find Erinn? Where are we going to find you, Erinn?
If you would like to support me in any form, it has nothing to do with me, like, personally. It does have to do with Becky's dog. You can follow my TikTok. I think it's just Erinn Faye. Or you can go to Instagram and you can follow Haunted by Winifred. I do photo shoots with Becky's dog. She is my muse. She is the light of my eye. And so if you would like to go and see the fun photo shoots that we do over there, that's where I would prefer you follow me, or on my TikTok. I think it's just under Erinn, so it'll be there. I comment on Sisterly Fright stuff, so you can find me in the comments too.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm going to elaborate a little bit on what Erinn does, because she's being modest. Erinn is an incredible artist, and she has made best friends with my dog, Winnie, also known as Winifred Sanderson.
Yes, or Sassafras.
Or Winifred Sassafras, if she's getting kind of sassy. But Erinn is actually a very skilled photographer and an artist. So what she does is she literally painstakingly hand paints props and backdrops for my dog.
So her outfits.
And she sews outfits and everything else, and there's this whole behind the scenes footage now of the struggle of getting the dog to try to cooperate. But it is very charming, and she's officially published now.
Yeah.
In what calendar?
It's called The Paw Print. They do like charity work and stuff off of all of their sales. Just type in Paw Print onto Instagram or to Google and they pop up. They are currently selling the 2026 calendar with Miss Winifred Sassafras in her October. We got Halloween, which is what we are shooting for. So if you would like to see her Halloween spread, it's the Paw Print.
The Paw Print. That's awesome. So yeah, if you guys want to see Winnie and Erinn's photography, which is phenomenal, by the way, you're going to see that in the Paw Print calendar, right?
Yes.
Very good. For me, you can find me at Rebecca Morgan Creative. I do all kinds of weird stuff, you guys. I am trying to be more creative and post more of the creative process of a lot of my artwork. And you'll see more of that, I think, on my Instagram than TikTok, but I do try to share both. Most of the stuff on TikTok is newer, is what I should say. If you want to see some of my work, older work, whether it's makeup, whether it's artistry and painting and all that stuff, you can go to my Instagram, Rebecca Morgan Creative. Otherwise, I'm right here on Sisterly Frights. You can find us on TikTok. You can find us on Instagram. Please like, subscribe, and share as much as you possibly can so we can start spreading the word. Our Sisterly Frights community is growing, and it's growing fast. We went from 0 to 300 people pretty quickly, and so we're excited for all of you to be part of this journey with us. We will be, like I said, taking the show on the road. We'll be going to events. We're going to be reviewing some spooky stuff. We've got lots of stuff coming up for the Halloween season, and of course we'll be doing movie reviews as well. But thank you to all of us, all of you that have been supporting us so far, and we'll see you next time on Sisterly Frights.